What's up, Vapors? My name is Nick. Today we're going to be doing a tutorial that James Greer asked me to do about building a Clapton coil. So what we're going to be using today is some 23 gauge kanthal, some 0.5 by 1 millimeter ribbon wire, and some 30 gauge nichrome 80 round resistance wire. So this is actually my personal favorite build. I do have an example of the build on one of these RDAs here. Here it is. I like to use, be doing a single coil build, and I personally like to use my Velocity RDA for single coil builds. It's a really nice RDA. And I'll do close-ups later, but this is the type of coil that we're going to be building today. So, to start, I'm going to make sure I have a nice clean end of kanthal to work with. We're going to start with this 23 gauge kanthal core. I'm going to need probably about that much. A lot of people ask, what's your technique for building a Clapton coil? Definitely straight wire is a must. So let's go ahead and straighten out that wire first. So what I like to do to straighten out wires is I'm going to put this wire in the drill chuck right here. This is a three-tooth drill chuck. I'm going to put it right in the center here. And I'm going to do a close-up of how to Clapton the coil, the technique that I use. Not necessarily the right way, but it's a way that works for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the end of this 23 gauge kanthal with my pliers here. And I'm going to spin the drill a little bit. And what this is going to do is it's going to put tension on this wire, which will actually straighten it out. So as you can see, when I'm done, this wire is nice and straight, and I'll be ready to work with it. I'm going to leave it long. The more I have to work with, the better. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to Clapton this ribbon wire around this 23 gauge kanthal. So I'm going to have a nice clean end to work with. This stuff is really frail. I found that it's easier to Clapton than other types of wire are, especially easier than this 30 gauge. I find that the lower the gauge that I go, the more difficult it is to Clapton the coil. So I'm just going to wrap this around here just to get it started. And then I'm going to stick this end in the drill chuck here and tighten it down. I like the drill on the left side when I'm Claptoning. You can do whatever you like, whatever you prefer. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get this started here. Okay, and then I'm going to make sure that my arm is not on the wire at all so it doesn't get in the way. When I Clapton, I like to get it all in one clean run. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes Claptons can be frustrating, but if you're patient enough, you can get it done in one clean run. It just takes a little bit of experience. You just got to kind of experiment with it. Don't get frustrated. Be patient, because this will be a really nice flavor and cloud build. So what I like to do is I like to take the wire and put it behind my middle finger like this so that it's got a nice even feed, and I'm going to pinch my nail over the top of the wire, and I'll get you a close-up of how this works. Okay, so we're back. Alright, as you can see, this can be a little bit finicky, but as long as I get it pinched, I'm going to take my finger like this, and I'm going to get my fingernail over the top of it, which will pinch that wire in between. And I like to feed the rest of the wire through my ring finger just like that. So we'll give this a shot. I like to start it off nice and slow. Okay, so as you can see, I did get a few imperfections in the Clapton, but that's not going to make a huge difference. I can just cut those out. That's why I like to Clapton as much as I can, so that when I do get those imperfections, if they do happen, which they do, they happen to everybody, I can cut them out and I have enough wire to work with. So let's get this out of the drill. And I'm going to clip this right on the other side of the imperfection. And I really only need about that much wire to work with. So I'm going to cut it on the other side of this imperfection as well. And then right about and the imperfection isn't going to make a huge difference in the coil. And I'm not going to need all of this to make the coil that I'm trying to make. I only need about 3 or 4 wraps. This is going to be a single coil build. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie these two together with some wire using this 30 gauge wire. And the whole point of this is to get some really great flavor out of this build. The vapor actually gets trapped, the liquid actually gets trapped within these ridges and grooves along this Clapton coil, which gives you a really nice pure flavor. It also helps it ramp the coil up when you use this 30 gauge N80 round resistance wire. So let's go ahead and get this set up for our next run. And what we're going to do, we're going to take this and I'm going to get about a full arm's length of this wire. And then about another full arm's length. We're going to fuse these two wires together with 2 strands of this 30 gauge. So what I like to do is I like to get the wire in between the chucks. So I'm going to loosen this a little bit. Get these 2 wires in there, and then get these other 2 in there. And then you want to make sure that that these two wires don't overlap each other all the way down your strand, because they can get tied up pretty easily. So I'm going to give this a little spin to get it started. Now this part can be frustrating, and if it's your first attempt you're probably going to mess up, but that's okay. You can always back a little bit of the wire off. So I'm going to use the same method that I used for the ribbon wire on the kanthol, the 23 gauge kanthol. I'm going to put it between my finger just like the other one, and then I'm going to pinch it, get a little more in there first. Now it's going to spin a little bit, but you can fix that once you're done. So give it a good pinch, and you're going to want to do this one a little bit slower than the other one. And this can be a little frustrating, but you just got to have some patience. So as you can see, I kind of balled it up on the end, but I really only need the wire from about here to here for the build that I'm trying to do. So what this ball will let me do is it'll let me actually adjust and get the twists out of this wire. Okay, now that I've gotten it all straightened out, looks pretty clean. Got it all straightened out. Let's get it out and let's do a build with it. Okay, so what I like to do is I'm going to start on this clean spot. I'm just going to bend it in half, just like that. So we've got it started like that. And then I'm going to take it on this side. I'm going to keep my thumb on the bottom here because this wire is really thick. You want to make sure you get it nice and even. because it's going to want to twist on you. Pull it through. Give it another turn. Now I like to do about 3 or 4 wraps. I'll build like this. Just kind of check and see the width here. Alright, so as you can see, I got this thing all wicked up and ready to go on my Velocity RDA. I ended up doing 3 wraps with the coil. You can't really do much more than that with this size deck. With a 26-650 deck, you could probably do a 4 or a 5 wrap. And I'm going to run this thing at 100 watts. So as you can see, she ramps up pretty much instantly. This coil's just got amazing flavor on it. So we'll switch over and we'll see how she clouds. Alright, so let's see how this bad boy clouds out. Like I said before, I'm running at 100 watts. And I'm vaping on Odyssey by Royal Elixirs. It's a blackberry flavor. I really like this RDA. Thing clicks on super quick, nice and easy. Great airflow, great flavor. Cheers. I really like this build a lot. It's kind of like the happy medium for me between cloud and flavor. It does go through quite a bit of juice, but there's just nothing like it. Difficult build, but well worth the time and the patience. Not really much ramp up time. There's just a little bit, but it's really only like a second or two. So this is my first build video, guys. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments, and I will answer them as I get to them. Call out to James and Julian. Vape proud, guys.